The Tuesday's routine starts with the phonemic awareness part, and you usually doing one of the different activities. And the one today was the onset and rhyme, where you're blending. You give them the two parts, and then they blend it from the onset and rhyme. The second part is they're doing the blending lines, and it's the first day of the week that you're introducing the blending lines, because on Monday you just introduced the skill. So they're doing the blending lines for the first time with the new skill. And then the next part is the word building, and they'll have their letter cards, and they're making the words with the letter cards of the words with that skill. And you can do that in different ways and have different kinds of scaffolding with that. And then the next part, they're finding the high frequency words in your sentence, the 2 for the week, and then they noisy write. They write it where they're spelling it and writing it at the same time. And then the last part is the connected text, where they're reading the phonics story, and it's the second day. They read the phonics story yesterday, and they're reading it again today with you and then with the partner. I'm going to give you 2 parts, and I want to see if you can tell me the whole word. You're going to blend it together and give me the whole word. Pop your marker. We're not using markers yet. Listen. Shh. Ip. Who thinks they know the word? Everybody say it together. Ready? Ship. Good. Next one. Shh. Up. Good. Fish. Good. Shh. In. Oh, good listening. Cash. Very good. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Good listening today. Thank you. Who remembers what our sound was that we learned yesterday? What was our sound that we learned yesterday? Who can tell me? Evelyn. It was the shh sound. Everybody go like that. Shh sound. And it's 2 letters put together. This is what it looks like. The shh sound. When you see these 2 letters together, do you say them? Oh, let's fix it. Do you say them as s? Do we say it like that? No. We say it together. Say it together. Ready? Shh. So when you see SH together, you're going to say it together at the same time. Are you ready? Because we're going to do our blending lines next. But listen, they're new ones, so you're going to have to pay attention. Let's see if you can do it. And we have a lot of them, so let's see if we can do them. Who thinks that they are ready to do them? Okay? Listen, when you see the shh, you're going to say it together. All right, are you ready? Ready, set, go. Hip. Good. Ship. Good.
Hop. Shop. Shot.
Good. All right, you ready for the next one? They're going to get a little harder. Ready, go.
Ish. Fish.
Good.
Ish. Wish. Ish. Dish. Ash. Rash.
Oh.
Ash. Crash. Ash. Trash.
Oh, pretty good. Let's keep going. Ready, go.
Hats. That.
Okay, now TH. Listen, TH we're going to say together also. Th. Okay, ready? Go.
That. Hen.
Good. TH together. Here we go. Th. Then. It's. It's. This. Good. This is the first day that we've done the 7 blending lines, but they actually did good with it. They start out easier where they only are changing one part of the word, and then they get harder where they're changing either the beginning or the middle. And then they start reviewing some sounds, and then at the end they're adding some of the inflected endings, which are tricky for them. But they once they see it in the blending lines, then they'll be able to see it more in their reading also. But those are the inflected endings that we're teaching this week also. So today was the first day and it was a little bit tricky for them, but I felt like they did pretty good with it. Let's go down here.
Mat.
Come on, Therese.
Mat.
Whoa, good. Excellent. Thin. Good. Oh, look how many lines we've done so far. Excellent. Let's keep going. This is a little bit of review. Are you ready to see if we remember? Ready? Therese, are you ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
Ick. Trick. Ass. Grass. Swim.
Good.
Step. Skip.
Flip. Okay, let's try to do it together. Oh, are you ready? We got a couple more. Look at all these. You're doing so good. Ready? Go. Go.
Get.
Rock. Good.
Dog.
Let's try this one again. Locks. It is good to have it differentiated, so if they should be able to read the first and maybe the second line, and then your higher kids, like you notice my higher kids could read all of them, even the ones with the inflected endings. But it does help. You can just expect your kids to read what they can, but then it's good for them to hear it and see it of the harder ones too. And also, if you can't get to all 7, then just do 3 or just do 4, whatever you can get to, so you can get all your parts in the amount of time in the 20-minute block you need to get to all the parts. So it just depends on how much time you have. The word is going to be, Therese, are you ready? Ship. Ship. You think you have it? Come up here. What makes her sh? Thumbs up. Do you think this is right? Turn around. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, everybody slide. Let's go. Ready? Does that make ship?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Ship. Good job, guys.
Good.
It. Very good. Write the word ship. Now you're only going to change what I tell you to change. Now, instead of ship, I want the word shop. Shop. What do we need to change? Good. Look. Oh. Now, go ahead and change it on your board. Is this right? Thumbs up. Does this make shop? Let me see your thumbs up. If you agree.
Yeah.
Use the L. Does it make shop? Show me a thumbs up. Shop. Okay, and you're changing. What letter did we change? We just changed the vowel, the O. Okay, are you ready for the next one? Now I want, yes, we changed the I to the O. Good. Shot. 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 What do we need over here? John, you got it? Oh, look at what we're changing. Everybody change on your board what we're changing. Come over here. Very good. Thumbs up. Do we have shot? Shot. Very good. What did we change, Yoretzi? The P to T. Very good. Turn your listening ears on. This one's a little bit trickier. Are you ready? We're going to change it to, listen, fish. F-ish. Oh, I like the way Giovanni moved down. Do we hear a T anymore?
No.
Fish. Fish. Oh, look how fast. Is that right? Let's check. Ready? Fish. Fish. Okay. Write fish on your board. Very good. Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Instead of fish, Brandon, listen. Instead of fish, I want wish. Everybody slide on your board and do wish, wish. And see, what are we changing? Let's see. Use the L. Is this what you have? What ish? Is this wish? Hey, some of you are changing the letters. Thank you, Francisco. And some of you are writing all of them. Either way, I want you to see what changes. We changed the Yangwa. What did we change? From fish to wish. What did we change? The F to a
T. No. W.
W. Very good. Okay, you guys may sit down. Hold your cards in the air. They're boards that we found. You can put graphic organizers in one side and it's wipe off. And then the other side is just a plain board, but your marker and your eraser is all right there together. So we just felt like it would be a good investment because we use them every day for phonics, but we're also using them for math and reading, and we can put any graphic organizer inside of it. Our principal ended up ordering them with some money that we had, but I can't remember exactly how much it was, but you can go to cleanslate.com and order them. And then they also have drawings for people to win them, so you might try that too. Okay, who's ready to find my sight words? My hard for curtsy words. Put your detective goggles on. Are you ready? Erase your board. You need to pop your marker because you're just listening right now. You're just listening. Pop your marker.
I need a marker.
Okay, so you're just listening right now. Here we go. I'm going to write my sentence, and then we're going to read it together. Read it quietly in your head, but then wait on me. We're going to read it together. Okay, let's read it together. Everybody go.
He did all his homework.
Very good. Who can tell me what is my sight word that we're looking for? Nathaniel. All. Very good. All. All right, get ready. You're going to noisy write all. Everybody get your marker out. Let's noisy write all. Ready? Go. A, L, L. All. L, L. All. Go ahead and say it when you're done. A, L, L. All. I want lowercase a. Very good. You may good job, Giovanni. You may erase. Hey, only 3 times tries. Thank you. Oh,
I did a lot.
Who can tell me what am I missing on my sentence?
Up here.
I need my ding. Look, I didn't even do it, did I? Good eyes. Okay, let's erase. Your board should be erased too. Are you ready? Put your goggles on. Next sentence.
I passed my books away.
Okay,
I
let's read it together. Here we go. I
put my books away.
Who can find my word? Giovanni.
Away.
Away. Very good. Okay, I want you to noisy write. Ready, go. A, W, A, Y. Away. Make sure your Y goes this way.
W.
I feel like it's really important for them to see it in context in a sentence instead of just isolated by themselves, because many a times they'll know it by itself, but then when they go to read it in a story, they don't know it. And so it helps when they're reading it in a sentence, and then later on in the week they write their own sentence with it. So that way they're seeing it isolated, but they're also seeing it within a text and within a sentence, which I think helps them be able to actually read it and write it better. A, W, Y, away. Ooh, time, Francisco. Okay, we put them in your lap. Okay, go ahead and erase. Good job. Pop your marker. Go ahead and get your story from yesterday out. Your phonics story from yesterday. It's on the back of your board. Who remembers what our story was about yesterday? What was our story about yesterday? Giovanni, do you remember? I'll give you a hint. The character's name was Trish. Do you remember what happened with Trish?
Yes, I remember.
Open it up. You're on the first one. Evelyn. Just tell me. Yes, she was looking for fish. And then she had a problem, so we're going to read it again today. We're going to read it choral together. Here we go. Is everybody turn to it? Okay, you're going to read it with me, and then you'll read it with your partner. Come on, Nathaniel. Ready? With me. Ready, go.
Trish went on a ship to look for fresh fish. She saw 4 fresh fish swim into her mesh net. She did not see the big rock. Crash! Little ship hit the big rock.
Very good. Some of you read it with me and some of you read it a little too fast, okay? But that's okay. That's okay. You need to try to read with us. Why did you say it's with excitement right here? Who can tell me? Yoretzi, why did you read it with excitement right here?
Because
There is an exclamation mark. So what was her problem? What was her problem, Brandon? What was the problem?
she crashed in a rock.
She crashed into a rock that she didn't see. Very good. I want you to turn to your partner and read it. Practice reading it. Ready, go.
Trish went on a ship to look for fresh fish. She saw
They put them in their book box and they can read them as their independent reading time. A lot of them like to read it because they're confident and they know they can read it, so they choose to read that. And then I also, for word work time, they can highlight the phonics skill, whatever the skill is for that day, they can highlight that. And then they can also, they can act it out. And then they can also write what happens next. Some of my higher kids like writing what would happen next in the story. So that way they need to understand it in order to write what happens next in the story. So there's lots of different things that you can do with it. Okay, spaghetti and meatball. Chicka chicka. Boom boom. You should be looking at me now. Very good. Turn your phonics story back to the beginning. Thank you. Very good. Give yourselves a roller coaster. You did so good today. Excellent. I feel like that once you get the routine and the logistics of it down, that your kids really love it. They don't get bored. They really like it. They look forward to it. When we don't do it, like if there happens to be a day when we had an assembly or something, we don't get to it, they are upset about it because they like doing it. And I do feel like that they're learning a lot. It's helping build their confidence with their phonics stories. They're able to read it. They think it's going to be hard, and then once they are able to decode and read the word, once they learn the skill, they have the confidence and they're like, oh wow, I could read that. So I feel like it's really important to do, and that it will benefit. I've seen a lot of them are making great progress, and I feel like it is because of the phonics routine.
The phonics skills, we're going up the phonics continuum, so they're getting more difficult. Do you still see kids being as successful as they were in the beginning?
I do. I do. And even some of my lower students, I feel like are catching on to some of those skills like some of the blends they knew and they still didn't know the short vowel, but they still were able to do the blends. So I feel like even though it's getting harder, you're able to differentiate it enough in your guided reading group that it's still good that they're being exposed to it. And they're even mastering some of those skills in different orders because it just depends on the student. So I feel like that even though it's getting harder, they're still able to learn it, and you're able to differentiate it based on what your kids need. But the majority of my class is, if they're on level, then they're able to do the scope and sequence that we have in the plan.
Can you talk about how the blending lines are differentiated? You alluded to the top is easier.
Yes.
Do you expect all of your kids to be able to read all of the words on the blending lines?
No, it is good to have it differentiated. So if they should be able to read the first and maybe the second line, and then your higher kids, like you notice my higher kids could read all of them, even the ones with the inflected endings. But it does help. You can just expect your kids to read what they can, but then it's good for them to hear it and see it of the harder ones too. And also, if you can't get to all 7, then just do 3 or just do 4, whatever you can get to, so you can get all your parts in the amount of time in the 20-minute block you need to get to all the parts. So it just depends on how much time you have. I do usually ask comprehension questions after we read the story on Monday. We talk about it and what happened. So that way they do know what's going on, because I don't want them just reading a text just to read it. They need to know what's going on in the story. And then I ask again just so they remember, because I feel like if they know what's going on in the story, it'll help them remember the words also and make meaning of the story. Because some of the words that are vocabulary words, even though they're connected text words, but they need to know what's happening in the story. And then that way when they go for center work, they can do stuff with the story once they understand what it's going on.
What do you do with the stories when you're done with them?
They put them in their book box and they can read them as their independent reading time. A lot of them like to read it because they're confident and they know they can read it, so they choose to read that. And then I also, for word work time, they can highlight the phonic skill, whatever the skill is for that day, they can highlight that. And then they can also, they can act it out. And then they can also write what happens next. Some of my higher kids like writing what would happen next in the story. So that way they need to understand it in order to write what happens next in the story. So there's lots of different things that you can do with it.